Hello everyone. Today we will be solving equation using completing the square. So we will solve the equation by completing the square. So we have an equation over here, x squared plus 6x minus 16 equals 0. These are the steps that we need to do in order that we can solve an equation by completing the square. First, we are going to put the constant into the right side of the equation. So that's a 16. So I'm going to add 16 from both sides. So plus 16 and plus 16. So then I can go ahead and cross out the 16. So then I'm left with x squared plus 6x. Since nothing was left here because I crossed it out, I'm going to write plus blank is equal to 16. Since I added blank on the left side, I will add another blank on the right side every time. However the equation look like. This is the first step that we need to do. Again, you are going to put the constant into the right side of the equation by either adding or subtracting. In this case, since this is a negative 16, so I'm going to add plus 16 to both sides. And then we're going to put a blank. So since this one was gone, so I will put a blank. So we don't know what number do we put in there. Remember, rule for equality, whatever you put on the right side of the equation or whatever you do on the right side of the equation, you do the same thing on the left. So I'm adding blank to both sides. Now, we will determine what number do we put into these blanks. So here's the step. Whatever the expression of, whatever the coefficient of the second term, so we have here the coefficient of the second term is 6, positive 6. I am going to divide that by 2. So I will show the work here. So I will divide this by 2. So this becomes 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I got a 3. Whatever the answer I got, I am going to square it. So I am going to square the 3. 3 squared is 9. This number that I got after I divide it into 2, whatever the answer, I square it. This number right here is going to the blank. So this number is going to go to the blank. So that's a plus 9 and plus 9. Okay, now the next thing that I would do is, as you can see here, this is already a perfect square trinomial. There is another video on how to factor the perfect square trinomial, but I'll give you a trick. The fastest way to factor this, since we already have a perfect square trinomial, x squared plus 6x plus 9. So the fastest way that we can factor this is we are going to write the x. Now, whatever number was squared, this number right here, we are going to put it with the first x. So that would be a plus 3. And then I do the same thing. I will do it twice. So that's a plus 3. It has to be twice because it's a perfect square trinomial. So I'm going to do the same thing, plus 3 twice. So again, the 3 that I got, which I got the 3 from dividing the middle coefficient with 2, and then that's a 3, so that's the number that I put in here. I will do it twice every time because this is a perfect square trinomial. Square means there's 2 of them. So we have to simplify this. 16 plus 9 is 25. Okay, now if there are 2 of them that are the same, I can actually rewrite this as x plus 3 squared is equal to 25. And then from here, we now have a perfect square equation. So then we can already solve for x from here. So using the perfect square equation, I'm going to write that up here. So x plus 3 squared is equal to 25. So it was just rewritten in here. So I just put that in there. So what am I going to do? I want the x is, I need to get rid of the squared by, I put square root on both sides. So I square root the left side, I square root the right side of the equation. So I'm going to cross this out. So I am left with x plus 3, so I'm going to use a different color pen for that. So x plus 3 is equal to, whenever we square root, just like how we did on the perfect square equations, which I will put that process of solving perfect square equations in the description box below. This is a plus minus 5. So then from here, we can get two answers. That would be x plus 3 equals positive 5, and x plus 3 equals negative 5. And then from here, I am going to simplify it. This is minus 3 and minus 3. So then I am left with x is equal to 2. So that's the first x. And then we subtract 3 from both sides here. Subtract 3. So then I cross the 3 out. So we're left with x equals negative 8. So these are the two solutions. Again, this method, all the steps that we did here, is called completing the square. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own. And if you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over this. We pretty much do the same thing. Let's see what you got. So again, the constant has to be moved to the right side of the equation. So minus 32 and then minus 32. So then I go ahead and come up with a blank after I cross this out. So that would be x squared minus 12x plus blank equals negative 32 plus blank. So again, I put two blanks there. Now, what do I put inside the blank? So I am going to use this number here. So I will always divide it by 2. So I will divide this by 2 here. So negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. Now, after that, I am going to square this. That would be negative 6 squared is, so negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. Now, this is the number that I write to each of the ones in the blank. So I will put the 36 here, and I will put the 36 here. And so from here, this is now a perfect square trinomial. Again, there's a trick. You write the x, and then there's another x over here. But this time around, we use this to put it in here. So that would be a minus 6. And then this is a minus 6. So I use this one right here. It's the same thing. Whatever I got inside the parentheses, I put it in here. And this is equal to negative 32 plus 36 is 4. So you see there are 2x minus 6 written twice. So that means this is a squared. So that's a perfect square. So I can go ahead and write x minus 6 squared is equal to 4. And then from here, we can already solve for x by using this equation. So I'm going to rewrite it over here. So that is x minus 6 squared is equal to 4. Now, I am going to square root both sides because I want to get rid of the squared. So square root the left side, square root the right side. So then from here, we can go ahead and cross the squared and square root out. So we are left with x minus 6 equals plus minus 2 because the square root of 4 is 2. So then we go ahead and have two solutions for this. X minus 6 equals positive 2 and x minus 6 equals negative 2. So then we add 6 from both sides plus 6 here. So we are left with the first x is 8. And the second x would be, we add 6 from both sides plus 6 here. So we are left with x is equal to 4. Did you get x is 8 and x is 4? Good. Perfect. If you find this video helpful, hit like and subscribe for more math videos. See ya!